Hello, welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 12, There is a Tide. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Star Trek Discovery, so I have to start with a spoiler warning for Discovery up to Season 3, Episode 12, There is a Tide. Yeah, that was a decent episode. This is a good episode. I enjoyed it. I don't know, I'm still coming to terms with the fact that that season 3 is not gonna be a breakthrough season. That it's not going to prove Discovery is actually gonna turn out to be much better and a huge improvement over the show. I'm still coming to terms with that, and I do think, I gotten several responses from several people. I'm not singling any one person out, but I got several responses from several people saying that perhaps I had my expectations too high, which, I guess, but I was wanting the show to get better. I was wanting season 3 to be much better than the first two seasons, and frankly, the premise of season 3 and the first 4 or 5 episodes of season 3 really led me to believe that it could happen, that season 3 of Discovery could be like season 3 was for Enterprise, or like season 3 was for Next Generation, or like season 3 was for Deep Space Nine, where the show just got much better and became a much better show. And I'm sort of coming to realize that Discovery is pretty much the same quality as it's always been now. Just like season 2 was an improvement on season 1, season 3 is a slight improvement on season 2. They have done some things better, but it's still got that same formula of some things are awesome and some things suck. Now this episode in particular was better than the last episode, I will say that. And there were a lot of things that it was least offensive. Tilly's acting like a commander or whatever. They're not gonna totally undo that in one episode. So I just, accept it and move on. And it wasn't as grating on my nerves as it was in the previous episode. This is kind of like they did a Die Hard situation with Michael Burnham, and I actually got to say it worked. I know a lot of people maybe are too sick of Michael Burnham being the hero or whatever, but she didn't come off as a flawless character who could do no wrong. She actually got stabbed, and she was eventually she got caught in the end. And she was seen as very vulnerable. So I actually do think that is one of the areas season 3 has improved upon in previous seasons, of more humanizing Michael Burnham better and showing her as someone who is more vulnerable. And so I actually liked it. I actually think it would kind of work better than the Picard Die Hard episode they had in season 6. Was it called Starship Mine? Actually, although I think it worked better, but although I think this one was more obviously Die Hard. Come on, she even lost her shoes and was walking around the ship barefoot. I'm surprised she didn't come across a field of broken glass she had to walk over. That's Die Hard. but it really worked, and I think the emotional stakes actually didn't come off as too overly sentimental as a lot of Discovery does. I think the emotional stakes or confrontation with Stamets was well earned, and I totally bought it, and I think it made totally sense. And I love, I actually thought it was amazing drama when she had to shoot Stamets out of the ship to ensure that, Osira couldn't get a hold of the Spore drive. But Stamets, all he wanted to do was return to the Nebula to save Hugh and Adira. And knowing that he couldn't do it, and how he was like, how dare you do this Michael, we went all back in travel time back to you and you betrayed me like this. Like, I don't think that was over the top sentimentality or over the top melodrama at all. I think that was actually really well earned and actually quite emotional and powerful. So I totally bought that, and I actually thought that was really, really good. So that aspect of the episode really worked for me. The whole tension, suspense aspect, as I said, the Die Hard situation with Michael Burnham and Tilly and her group trying to sort of break out, and Book helping her. Actually, that worked for me too. I actually think that was really successful. Now, what didn't work for me about this episode was the negotiations with Osira, and the whole way they tried to humanize Osira, which typically is something I would love in Star Trek. Like I mentioned in previous shows, like what Enterprise did with the Xindi and whatnot, and how they sort of humanize their villains and show that they're just not all just mustache twirly. They have different sides to them, and of course they're obviously trying to do that with introducing that scientist character who thinks Osira is like a great humanitarian that helped him out and saved his life or whatever, and is just now starting to realize that she actually has an evil side to her as well that he was kind of blinding himself to, and how she was being reasonable with Admiral Vance, or whatever the hell his name is, in the negotiations and trying to come up with Vance himself knew that there was somewhat reasonable negotiations, and she was willing to make a lot of concessions. It's only when he demanded that she be arrested for her crimes that she completely gave up on it. But what I didn't like, all of that would have worked if they hadn't gone out of their way to portray her as a mustache twirly villain in previous episodes. I mean, that whole scene, which I really railed against, and I'm sorry I can't let go, and I gotta hold it against this episode, where she killed her own nephew, or whoever it was, for no good goddamn reason, was just, it's such a cliche, stereotypical, bland, run-of-the-mill, it's a writer's shortcut for lazy writing to say, oh, this character's evil, by having her kill her own nephew for failing. You failed me, so I'm gonna kill you. And so, no, you can't humanize a character after doing that. I'm sorry, you fucked up by having that cliche. She is branded as a mustache twirly two-dimensional villain. No matter how much you try to undo it, you can't undo it now. It's too late. You can't have a scene like that where she's like, I'm gonna kill my cousin or my nephew, and then try to humanize her later. Bullshit. Doesn't work. You failed already. So that I didn't buy that. I didn't buy her negotiations. I thought that felt fake to me, like it's out of character her, because we've seen her. She's twirling her mustache. I don't buy she would do negotiations like this. Now, they try to portray her as like a businesswoman and someone who's more concerned about the bottom line, but the fact that she was willing to like combine these two organizations and adhere more to the Federation standards, again, mustache twirly scene undercuts all of that. I don't buy it. Total horseshit. So I was completely uninvested in that whole negotiation storyline. I thought it was just something I couldn't get on board with, because it just didn't seem. It seemed fake to me. It seemed obvious that it was just the writers sort of spinning their wheels or having some excuse for her being there. And that it was clear to me that it wasn't going to work out. So when it came to the fact that, it's not working out because they want to arrest her, that's just an excuse the writers came up with so it wouldn't work out. For me, it was obvious that the whole negotiation was doomed from the start, because she's been established as a mustache twirly villain. So it's a complete waste of time, and I had zero investment in it. And I gotta talk about how they brought back that character from the second episode he was such, again, talking about cliche mustache twirly villains, and he was like such a douchebag too. I really did not want to see him again. And I remember when they kicked him out into the snow, I'm like, oh, thank God this character is dead, gone. We never had to deal with him again. But when they showed him on the previously on this, I was like, oh my God, they're bringing this fuckhead back. And he's so stupid the way he's like, no. I was like, he's dumb too. I'm sorry, he's a terrible villain. At least Osira, as mustache twirly as she is an intimidating villain and someone I can get scared of and actually does create suspense and help push the forward. This douchebag I can't take seriously, and I'm not scared of him. He's just an idiot, and I'm just like, shut up every time he talks. So that aspect of it I couldn't really get on board with either. Although, and also I gotta say, as for the Michael Burnham Die Hard thing, when she blew all those people out the airlock and made the call the guide, it was like, you're gonna need more regulators. Like that, come on, alright, John McClane. That was such a freaking one-liner moment, but so that was maybe a little bit too much for me. But anyway, I love the ending with the little robot things, which of course they teased. They've been showing them in the opening credits all season, and they like made a like brief appearance in season 2 so much like people had to point it out for me to notice. I would have noticed it on my own. And they had a whole animated like short track that featured that thing. So it was actually really cool seeing them, and the fact that, because we were wondering what happened to the spore drive, the sphere data, because it's obvious when Osira took over the command functions that she knew nothing about it, and they mentioned something about, oh, there's this old movie that's playing it. So obviously that has something to do with the sphere data, but apparently the sphere data sort of hid themselves in those little robot thingies, and they peek up and go, whoo, hoo, hoo. Not as cute as Baby Yoda, but still cute. And they're like, oh, we're going to help Tilly. We're going to help you retake the ship. I actually love that. I thought it was a great way to end the episode. That actually has me pumped for the next episode. So, job well done on that account. So my rating for, oh God, what the hell was the name of this episode again? There's a Tide. My rating for There's a Tide out of 10 is an 8. Extremely good. I love the emotional scenes with Stamets and Burnham. I think that was really powerful shit and really well earned. I actually like the Die Hard stuff with Michael Burnham. I thought it was really suspenseful, and the ending with the little machines going, with the sphere data trying to help, saying that they're going to help. That was great too. Really enthralling. So I was actually, to be honest, I was really, really close to giving this episode a 9. But that douchebag who they brought back from life, they should have just died. Like, I can't stand that guy. And also the whole negotiation storyline. Now, like, I'm not saying that's terrible, but I just couldn't get invested and their whole attempt to humanize Osira is failed to begin with, because they went way too over the top with her earlier in the season. So it's impossible for them to humanize her. So for them to even try, it's just a waste of time. So I can't give it a 9 because of that, but still a high 8. Still a really good, enjoyable episode. Probably one of the better ones of the season. And I think it's a good setup episode for the finale, which I'm really, really pumped to see. Hopefully they don't fuck up the finale like they did last year with too much CGI diarrhea. Here's hoping. So I hope, but I think they have a really good setup. They have really good stakes. I'm emotionally invested in it. So, I think if they play their cards right, it could be a really great finale. Well, we'll see. Anyway, that is it for my review of this latest episode of Discovery. As I mentioned, I shall return to cover the finale of Discovery. And I also cover many other shows on my channel, like The Expanse, Breaking Bad, The Outer Limits, and more, and all kinds of Star Trek as well. So be sure to check that out, and be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.